As you are casually exploring the Scarlet Rot infected lands of Caelid, or rather if your playthrough was anything like mine, as you are running for your life from giant raptor crows and dino dogs, you'll come across a fortified gate that stands auspiciously among the flame and the rot. Just beyond the entrance, you'll find a rather lovable guard dog to welcome you to a lone shack, Gowry's shack. He seems pretty ominous at first given the setting, but he is on a quest to save an heir. A quest you soon will be a part of, should you choose Tarnished.
Oh, a pleasure to see you, a pleasure indeed. I am Gowry, a great sage. In my day, anyway. I'd hoped to ask a favor when one of your ilk came along. A strapping young Tarnished, able to cross the Scarlet Swamp of Aeonia.
Gowry needs you to enter the Scarlet Swamp and duel the towering Commander O'Neill in order to retrieve the unalloyed gold needle. One of the very same needles crafted by the demigod Mikola and mentioned in my family tree video here. The unalloyed gold needle's item description reads, an intricately crafted needle of unalloyed gold, snapped in half. A ritual implement crafted to ward away the meddling of outer gods, it is thought capable of forestalling the incurable rotting sickness. Sage Gowry has designs for this needle. Gowry has the knowledge to repair this divine artifact, but who could be worth saving at this point? Her name is Millicent, and she is currently rotting away at the Church of Plague, protected by the witless pests who worship her as a vessel of the rot they treat as a god.
Do you find it peculiar that I would show such concern for the girl? Well, I'm the one that found her, a mere babe in the swamp of Aeonia. She is one of my dear daughters. But the rotting sickness erodes one's memory. I doubt that she remembers the first thing about me. Oh, I must be getting old. I didn't always worry so much.
Gowry, however, not only raised Millicent, we actually discover that he raised her 4 sisters that you fight on her quest as well. Mary, the eldest and the sister who wields the Halo Scythe. Maureen, the second sister who carries a tree spear. Amy, the third sister with 2 curved swords. And Pollyanna, the youngest who holds the Blade of Calling. We learn this from the Rotten Wing sword insignia that is dropped once Millicent's sisters are defeated. It says, the 4 sisters were born in the swamp of Aeonia and came to the Haligtree under the aegis of Gowry. And yet, those buds were doomed to never blossom. Keep note of the term blossom here, as it relates in a very important way when all of this comes together at the end. Through this context, it becomes obvious that Millicent is Gowry's last chance to save at least one of these girls from a tragic fate of rot and death. We don't know why Gowry felt so obligated to these girls. It could have truly been fatherly love that grew over the years after he found them. Given the status as a once, quote, great sage, however, it is just as conceivable he wanted to use the lineage of these girls to unlock great power, albeit he does seem sincere during your interactions with them. And given this bit of dialogue found whenever visiting Gowry at his shack again, I'm gonna go ahead and say that in the past, it may have been the latter.
So, you gave Millicent a golden arm replacement. This is a wonderful development. Thank you for your kindness. Now, Millicent may fully realize her true warrior's potential, like her beautiful mother. The girl, Millicent, she is a bud, green and undeveloped, waiting to flower into magnificence. What a wondrous day that will be. In truth, before her, I'd never seen a bud of such superior quality. She might very well outshine her sisters.
Regardless, at this point in his life, it is clear he just wants to stop Millicent's suffering and allow her to seek her destiny among the ruins of the Shattering. Millicent no longer remembers Gowry as he previously feared, but he doesn't allow himself to interfere with her mission as he disappears when Millicent makes her way back to the shack in hopes of seeing someone to say goodbye to.
Oh, hello again. Something about this place felt familiar to me, so I decided to pay a visit, hoping to find someone here, but I've only found emptiness. Perhaps, before my departure, I needed someone to say farewell to.
Your first concrete hint at Millicent's lineage comes after you reload the area and find Gowry has returned. After some dialogue, he goes on to say,
Please make certain that little Millicent goes unharmed. Like her mother, she has the stuff to be a great warrior, but commands only one arm and is yet preciously young.
At this point, even if you have seen only the trailers, you should know there is a red-haired, one-armed warrior who fiercely wields a blade. For those of you who know a little more, you can draw the connection with the Scarlet Rot as well. To further solidify this line of thinking, in order to advance Millicent's quest from here, you need a Valkyrie's prosthesis, which can only be obtained from within the shaded castle. Honestly, there is so much going on in this area, it deserves its own video, but the castle was presided over by a family of executioners known as Family Mirai. There is a connection here between the early lineage of House Mirai and the demigod Malenia. If you want a video explaining this further, leave a comment down below saying shady. The Valkyrie's prosthesis implies heavily it was once used by Malenia. Its description says, golden prosthesis once used by the one-armed Valkyrie. A masterwork of craftsmanship. With practice and skill, it can be used as proficiently as a real arm. When Malenia, Lord of the Shaded Castle, embraced this prosthesis, he claimed to feel the presence of his personal goddess. Once you have the arm, you can find Millicent near the Erdtree Gazing Hill Grace. If you talk to her, she will say the following. Now, I'm tracing the path Malenia took after unleashing the power of the Scarlet Rot during her battle with General Radahn in the Caelid Wilds. I should like to meet her, this vanished woman. I think she's in the north, in the lands that lie beyond the Erdtree. Millicent knows she is connected to Malenia somehow, but at this point it seems almost like a mysterious fascination rather than a yearning for a parent. You can then proceed to give her the Valkyrie's prosthesis, Malenia's old prosthesis as it were, and immediately Millicent is hopeful of the thought of wielding a blade once more. Her next few encounters, she makes it clear that she is ready to battle and that she can lend her blade should you ever need. Things get interesting again, however, once you make it through the Leyndell capital and off to the Forbidden Lands. Of course, you are here to help Malenia obtain the Flame of Ruin and burn the Erdtree, and anyone who sees you in this area knows that is the case, beginning with the first Finger Maiden you run into at the Lift of Rold.
Turn back. Ahead lies the land of the Giant's Flame, and the way forth is forbidden. Hear me. The burning of the Erdtree is the first cardinal sin. Doing so will unbind destined death and slay the world itself. Who would dare put you up to such a task? Most certainly not the Fingers.
You first encounter Millicent in the Forbidden Lands once you reach the ancient Snow Valley Ruins Grace, and at this point her quest is more clear to her.
To think we'd meet in such a place. What could your purpose possibly? No. I know well enough who you are. And what I know is good enough for me. Call upon me again, in battle, should you have the need. I'm searching for a fort to the north of the ruins. I heard the master of the fort was given a medallion that allowed him to visit the Haligtree. Indeed, I believe that is where Malenia will be found. The Haligtree is hidden somewhere in these northern lands.
This is where the research got really interesting for me. I was always curious about Commander O'Neill's reason for existing, and I can make no ties. If you remember, He is who drops the unalloyed gold needle originally. His in-game counterpart, Commander Niall, drops the left half of the Haligtree medallion, and according to Millicent's information, this means that he was granted access to the Haligtree. At first glance, I wanted to assume they were part of General Radahn's army, as I thought the chestplate bore a lion's mane, and because of the battle between he and Malenia, these high-ranking officers of Radahn's army were seeking revenge. I thought that maybe this encounter is what caused Malenia's second bloom, the one we see in the Haligtree prior to her boss fight. If you reference the Scarlet of Aeonia incantation, it says, each time the scarlet flower blooms, Malenia's rod advances. It has bloomed twice already. With the third bloom, she will become a true goddess. However, upon closer inspection, both commanders O'Neill and Niall are brandishing scarlet flowers on their armor. Looking at the item description for Commander's standard, the halberd drop from the O'Neill fight, it says, quote, even after his lord was fled, Commander O'Neill continued to brandish this flag in the devastation of the rot-eaten field of battle, the sole veteran who remembers this battle with pride. Radahn never fled. Everyone knew exactly where he was rotting away in the Caelid Wastelands. I believe the fleeting lord referenced here has to be none other than Malenia. But why would it seem that Malenia is sabotaging her daughter Millicent? Malenia's commanders held 1, access to her resting place, and 2, the only thing that could stave off the rot and help save her daughters. Well, once you run into Millicent at the Haligtree, things become a little more clear.
Again we meet. I can only surmise our purposes are aligned. In which case, allow me to explain myself. I am of Malenia's blood, but in what capacity I know not. I could be sister, daughter, or an offshoot. Whatever the case, though, I am certain of a kinship between us. There is something I must return to Malenia, the will that was once her own, the dignity, the sense of self that allowed her to resist the call of the Scarlet Rot, the pride she abandoned, to meet Radahn's measure.
It seems as though Malenia's own free will was abandoned once the rot was set free as well. Her life now being driven by this call of the Scarlet Rot. Like any parasite, it wants to spread and flourish, and with 3 blossoms, Malenia will ascend to a goddess of rot. With her commanders likely having no idea what was going on, they remained loyal to Malenia's orders, and O'Neill was tasked with keeping the needle out of her daughter's hands. Possibly the only ones left who could challenge these blossoms, or perhaps even take Malenia's spot in ascension to godhood. Whatever the reason, all of the context points to Malenia not wanting her daughters to stave off the rot. Or rather, the call of the rot was preventing this. I believe this is what Millicent finally came to understand. After you aid her in defeating her sisters, you will find Millicent sadly starting to die.
Oh. Hello. Thank you for lending your hand. Without your help, I could not have defeated that quartet. I feel as if I've been in your debt from beginning to end. Thank you. With your help, I was able to live as my own person, if only in passing. But this is where things end. I paused to even tell you, but I took out the needle myself. Tell whoever put you up to this that if I am to flash something other than myself, I would rather rot into nothingness as I am.
With the staving off of the Scarlet Rot, Millicent too would one day bloom. From this, she feared she would lose herself and become whatever her mother turned into. The Millicent's prosthesis item, the drop you get from challenging Millicent rather than fighting her sisters, says the following. The despair of sweet betrayal transformed Millicent from a mere bud into a magnificent flower, and one day she will be reborn as a beautiful Scarlet Valkyrie. After this realization, she decides to let the rot finish the job it started so long ago, slowly turning Millicent into a mound of flesh. Curse-laden, untouchable. Holy crap, guys, this video got way deeper than I ever could have imagined, and thanks for anyone who is still here. This was inspired by a back and forth in the comment section from my last video, so please feel free to leave your comments and thoughts down below so we can birth new conversations. What do you think of all of this? Do you think Malenia knew what she was doing? Why would Millicent have to suffer through all of this in the first place? If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. That helps immensely. If you are new around here, welcome in, and be sure to hit that subscribe button for new content each week. I stream every night at twitch.tv/precision if you want to come hang out and speculate with me there. Thanks so much for all of your support. Be easy, and we'll see you in the next one.